The other thing that I'd encourage you to do is to hire a designer as soon as you can. Hire the best designer that you can find or afford, but don't get them to design your application or design your website. What you want to get them to do is to design a style guide. And that's basically a document that lists all kinds of different sorts of information, like how templates should be laid out, what sort of fonts should be used, the way that images should be treated, the amount of space that should be left between elements, all of that kind of thing. Once you've got that style guide, you can then take that, which is what designers do best, coming up with this overall system design, and give that to somebody who's a little less resource intensive, and get them to apply that across all of the work that you're doing now and all of the work that you want to do in the future. So that's my kind of big tip of how to get the most from a designer that you hire, and spend lots more money, if you can, on getting a fantastic designer to do that work for you than getting somebody maybe not so good to design the whole thing. Think big and small. I've kind of covered this already, so I won't go over it again so much, except to say that user experience is really made up of this kind of layer cake. It starts right up the top with proposition, value to your customer. If your customers aren't getting that, then it probably doesn't matter whether or not your button's in the right place. But having said that, I don't know if you might have read recently an article that a guy called Jared Spool published, which was a case study where he talked about a project he worked on where just moving the position of a button had a $3 million revenue implication for the company that he was working for. So you really do have to kind of look at it from both angles, from the big and from the small. So I really want to encourage you to do this. It's incredibly doable. Get in, have a go. You know, the practice is really what gets you to being particularly good at this. There's lots of help that's out there. Obviously, you can hire people to do this for you. You can also hire people to come in and train you and your staff to get the skills so that you can do this for yourself even better as you go along. There's some great books that you can read. These are ones that I am constantly recommending to my clients, so if you haven't read these, this will really get you sort of a long way along the path. But that's just about it from me. Thank you, good luck.
Yes, fantastic. Any questions regarding that presentation? That was absolutely brilliant. One over there. Can we get a mic over here, the back in the corner there? Where's Adonna? Oh, Bex. Okay, just there with the guy, hand up, and then there's going to be one hit down here, chap in the pink shirt.
Hi, Wayne Pope from glasscubes.com. We're really focusing on usability for our application. However, we're finding all our beta testers are not in our country of residence. How do you suggest we sort of attack this, you know, when essentially we're remote from our clients and customers? How do we really focus in on the usability when they are in another country? So
absolute ideally, you do want to be sitting down right next to them. So, you know, I guess one option would be to sort of go to somewhere central and try to set something up there. That's not really particularly cost effective though. I would recommend investigating doing a remote session using Adobe Connect. You can get free access to Adobe Connect, which will allow you to share your screen with them and share their screen with you, and then sort of conduct that whole thing. And you'll kind of be there as a virtual participant. I think these things should always be moderated. So that you can actually ask questions as they're going. It's not as good to do it remotely, but that's probably the next best thing.
Okay, next question. We've got one down here. Where's our other mic person? We need two mic people. Just one here. Say who you are, where you're from.
Hi, I'm Timbo Drayson from Google, but I also have a startup in probably when I should be sleeping. Seeing product development inside Google, a lot of the UX stuff is defined by actually data. And what advice do you have for startups around how we can actually use data to drive UX design? For example, this movement of a button, rather than just maybe an expensive designer.
Okay, so I think that data is invaluable, and you should be trying to track as much as you possibly can and get a real sense of where people are going and what they're doing, and iterating your design all the time and seeing what happens if you move that there, and learning about the way that people are interacting with your site by that as much as possible. The problem with relying purely on data is that a lot of the time you don't know why it's happening. So it can be quite good to sort of look at what's happening in the data, make a change, you know, to experiment with that, and then actually do a little bit of observational research as well and kind of see why. You know, why is it that when I do that, I get this effect? And that's kind of like the ultimate thing. But yeah, there's so many different ways that you can get a feedback in on, you know, how your design is working. Data is one of them. All of the feedback that you get from, you know, Twitter and blogs and email and everything like that is another one of those. So I just kind of really want to emphasize observational because it does give you that insight into why, when I do that, do I get that change in the data.
Great. Last question just here.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Awesome presentation, first of all. I just wanted to re-emphasize one point that you were saying, and I think it's the slide about knowing your audience. I think it's, from all the slides, probably the most important one. And I think everyone thinks a bit that you act that way in your startup every day. But I think it's really hard to stand against that if you get grilled in board meetings, if your investors ask these questions, why do you know that the bloggers are a big enough audience? And I think everyone hears that lots of times, but I think especially at the beginning, it's really, really important to stick with the audience that you pick or that you design your product for. I mean, to question everything all the time is good as well, but I mean, you have to really stick with that audience.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that, and this was said in one of the panels at Seed Camp yesterday as well, maintaining your focus, particularly in these early stages, is just incredibly important. And this insight that you get from knowing your users and seeing the way that they interact, there's nothing like seeing somebody actually use your site firsthand to really give you a sense of what really works and what really doesn't. And that is going to help drive your focus.
Fantastic.